Hey there, welcome to The Magic in the Music. I'm Jen. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the best Disney Vacation Club resort choice if you are wanting to purchase your DVC contract directly from Disney. If you purchase 150 or more points direct, you will be eligible for full membership benefits, which includes access to the member lounges, member events, discounts on merchandise, dining, and access to the Sorcerer Annual Pass at Disney World, even if you do live out of state. So whether you are looking to become a new DVC member and you want to buy directly from Disney, or you are looking to add on to your existing DVC membership, let's take a look at the resorts that are currently being marketed or featured by DVC. So we're going to start off here by going to the Disney Vacation Club website, disneyvacationclub.disney.go.com/membership/costs. And this website is the place where you can start to look at some of the pricing options here. And if you scroll down on this page, it's going to take you to this tool, which allows you to price some different memberships options, different point options at different resorts. And the thing that I really like about this tool is how you can pull this slider along to different point totals, and it lets you see the different costs, and you can plug in the amount of points that you want. But let's go to 150 because that's a really very standard number for people to purchase. And as you can see, they very cleverly did not give you the option of making it less than 150. You can buy fewer than 150. For most of the resorts, it's 100 is the minimum buy-in for a new member, and 50 for most of them on for an existing member. But they kind of conveniently don't show you that option. I guess they don't want to put the idea in your head. So let's take a look at these different options here. So the four options that they are showing us here are the villas at Disneyland Hotel, Aulani, which is in Hawaii, Disney's Riviera Resort at Disney World, and the villas at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa at Disney World as well. I'm going to give you just a really brief overview of these four different resorts. The villas at Disneyland Hotel is the newest DVC resort. It actually is not even open yet. So if you were to purchase a contract at this resort, which at this time can really only be purchased direct because there are not any resale contracts even available at this point, so it's your only option is to purchase direct right now as of summer 2023. It is opening in September, late September of 2023 is a projected opening. So if you were to purchase at this contract right now, you could begin booking stays starting on that opening date and moving forward. But what you could not do, and this is an important point, is if you purchase there and say you wanted to go book a stay over at Grand Floridian or Riviera with those points, you actually can't use those points to check in for a date prior to the opening of that resort. So this is a really important thing that you need to know about. If you buy at villas at Disneyland Hotel, you can't go stay at Grand Floridian in August of this year. You have to have points that are actively, in an actively open resort. You could make stays for reservations after that opening date, but you can't actually use the points until that resort has opened up. So that was an important distinction that my guide did verify for me, and I want to make sure all of you know that as well. This resort is kind of an add-on to the existing Disneyland Hotel, which, it's a classic feature of the Disneyland Resort. And it's kind of added an additional tower and sort of sharing in some of the amenities and things of the Disneyland Hotel. It's a great option. Obviously, if you are someone who vacations in Disneyland, it's going to be your best option because it's in California. The next one we're going to look at is Aulani. This resort is a little bit odd. Well, first of all, everybody talks about it being the most beautiful DVC resort. We have not visited. It's one of the few we haven't been to, but we have visited Hawaii, of course, because we live on the West Coast. And Hawaii is wonderful. It's a great place to go, and this resort looks to be beautiful, and everybody raves about it. I have a friend there right now who is sending pictures and just raving about how wonderful it is. So it's great. However, they never really sold out. It's been open since 2011, and they are still selling it. 12 years later, they're still selling this resort. So I think this location is a big challenge. They've really had a hard time selling out this location, and you'll see later when we look at the cost breakdown, it's reflected in the cost because it's just harder for a lot of people to get to. And particularly because a lot of DVC members tend to be on the East Coast or Midwest, Aulani is a long, long way. It's a long trip out to Hawaii. So if you want to be in Hawaii frequently, or if you're a West Coast and it's easy to have access to Hawaii, that's a great option for you. But if you're not, this might not be the best choice. So you have to really think about that. The next resort that is still being currently featured by Disney Vacation Club is Disney's Riviera Resort. This resort is located in Orlando at Disney World, and it is really near to Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it's on the Skyliner line. So you have easy access to those two parks. This was opened in December of 2019, so it's just a few years old. It's a relatively new resort. We've stayed there multiple times, and we do own a contract there. Riviera Resort is a beautiful resort with really excellent park access to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Finally, we have the villas at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. It's actually an expansion of the current DVC offering at Grand Floridian. So they took one of the old buildings, Big Pine Key, and they renovated it into these resort studios. Grand Floridian was always a very popular resort and there was a lot of demand for it. And they recognized that they could probably convert that into a DVC wing and make better use of that space. And I think that was a good move. This has been a popular resort and they did a beautiful job with the rooms. And so if you want to be on the monorail loop or you want really good, easy access to Magic Kingdom, Grand Floridian is an excellent choice for you. So when you're making the decision about which resort to purchase, the first and most obvious thing is going to be the location. If you are wanting to visit Disneyland and you want access to the 11-month booking window at Disneyland, hands down, your choice has got to be villas at Disneyland Hotel in terms of direct purchases. Now, there is also the Grand Californian at Disneyland. However, for a long time, the wait list to purchase those direct points from Disney has been closed, and it can be very difficult to get those points. So really, your only realistic option in terms of being at Disneyland is going to be the villas at Disneyland Hotel. So that might be a really easy choice for you. Another fairly obvious one is Aulani. If you want to travel to Hawaii, that's great. If it's hard for you to make it there, then that is probably not the right resort for you to purchase. Then, of course, we have Riviera and Grand Floridian. So these two resorts both offer excellent access to Disney World Resort, and it's really kind of a matter of personal taste, I think, with these two. They have a lot of similarities, but they also have different kind of location. One is near Epcot, Riviera is near Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and Grand Floridian is near Magic Kingdom. So that's the only one where you kind of have multiple options in one location. Okay, the next category that you're going to want to consider when you select your direct resort purchase is going to be resale restrictions. If you're new to DVC, you might be like, what in the world is this? Well, there is something called DVC Resale, and you actually can purchase these contracts on the resale market and sometimes at a substantial savings. I will go into more detail about that later in this video. What you need to know is that if you decide to resell that contract later and sell it to another person, you no longer wish to hold that contract, which could be a possibility. It's good to have an exit strategy for your DVC ownership. If you choose to sell that contract, some of these resorts have something called resale restrictions written into the contract, and some do not. This is something that Disney Vacation Club put in place a few years back because the resale market was booming and people started to realize that they could get their DVC contracts elsewhere and not directly from Disney. DVC chose to kind of close that loophole and make it a little more difficult for people to take advantage of the resale contracts. There are still many, many great reasons to buy resale. But if you are looking to purchase direct, and a lot of people like to purchase direct because it's fast and it's quick, it's easy, and it's very simple. You know, you get it now. You'll have your points like today or tomorrow. You have your points right away. And a lot of people love that. So if you're looking at resale restrictions, The villas at Disneyland Hotel and Disney's Riviera Resort are the two contracts of these featured resorts that have the resale restrictions. And what that means is if you go to sell that contract in the future, the buyer of that contract will not be able to use those points at any other resort except for the home resort. So if you sold a Riviera contract in the future, that buyer can only use those points at Riviera. And if you sold a Disneyland Hotel contract in the future, those points can only be used at Disneyland Hotel. Now, that doesn't really impact you as the direct purchaser. I want to be really clear about that. You can still use your points, your direct points, at any of the resorts. You are not limited. It's just really a question of the resale value of that contract in the future should you decide to resell it. Now, your other options, Aulani and Grand Floridian, they do not have these resale restrictions because these contracts, with Aulani, it was before those resale restrictions went into effect. So you could still use those at the other resorts. Then Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, that is had kind of a special exception because there was already an existing DVC association with its own rules and everything. And so this one was grandfathered into those old rules. And because of that, you could resell them and then people would still have access to the other resorts using those points. So you have to be a little bit careful about this. Again, if you never plan on selling that contract, maybe this is a complete non-issue for you, you don't care, but I think it is wise to think about your exit strategy should your situation change in the future. Okay, so the next consideration is cost. Is there much of a difference in the cost of these resorts? Well, a little bit. It's not that big of a difference though. And one thing to consider is that these do have different expiration dates, and so that value is a little bit different in these contracts as well. So let's go in order here. You can see here for the villas at Disneyland Hotel, they show you that a one-time cost of 150 vacation points at $230 per point would be $34,500, closing costs of $393.95, and then they have a summer offer of $2,150 off. That goes through September 11th, 2023. So our total cost here would be $32,734.95. We're going to ignore this financing part because I'm not a huge fan of financing and not every buyer is going to be financing anyway. Now let's take a look at Aulani. You'll notice that Aulani is often running the biggest discounts because, well, it hasn't sold out. So that should tell you something. It's a great resort. I think its location is it's kind of a plus and a minus. It makes it harder for people to access. So you can see the purchase price, it is $217 per point, so just a little bit less expensive than Disneyland. So then we've added in the closing costs. You can see the closing costs are higher. I'm assuming that's because you're purchasing it in Hawaii. So that is different than, this California purchase. So there's a little difference there, but nothing major. Then they offer a much deeper discount, $3,585 off, again, ending in September. So then your one-time total costs are $29,595.86. So there is a little bit of a difference here, about a $3,000 difference in the overall cost of that contract. However, this does not have as long a contract life. We're going to talk about expiration dates in just a moment. Next, we'll move to Riviera Resort. You can see this one is also $217 per point with higher closing costs yet of $847.54. And they have some promotional savings, not as good an offer really, $1,585. And then your total cost would be $31,812.54. So a bit lower than Disneyland Hotel. Still not quite the amazing deal that I was surprised they didn't give it a little bit deeper discount than that. And here we have the villas at Grand Floridian. Again, this is $217 per point, closing costs of $842.59. So very comparable. These are both Florida resorts with Florida closing costs, whatever those may be. And they have a little bit better offer at $25.85 off of that purchase. So you can see here that Disneyland Hotel would be the most expensive. Next would be Riviera, then Grand Floridian, and then Aulani. Another thing that you do have to consider with these resorts is that Aulani and Disneyland Hotel also have a occupancy tax, like a transient occupancy tax is what they call it for Disneyland Hotel. And so there is a tax that you have to pay upon checkout of those resorts. At Aulani, it doesn't seem to be too high of a cost. However, at Disneyland Hotel, it is a substantial cost. So that's something that you're going to want to take a look at. And I can provide a link in the description below that lets you look at the different costs. That is something extra in there. On the bright side, you only pay that at Disneyland Hotel when you stay at that resort. So if you purchase your points there and then you go stay at Riviera, for example, you are not going to pay that tax. So they've kind of separated that out from the purchase price. You do have that tax at the other Disneyland DVC location, which is Grand Californian. However, that cost is baked into the dues, and so you don't get that extra bill at the end. I personally am not a fan of that extra bill at the end of my vacation. That is not very fun or relaxing to me. Another important consideration as you are kind of weighing and comparing these different resorts is the contract life. All of these contracts are going to expire on January 31st of the given year. And let's go through the list of the expiration years for these. Aulani has the earliest expiration date of these 4 resorts at 2062. So you really don't have quite as much life left on that resort. So that's something to consider. Yes, it is a lower price point. However, not as many years left. Again, it's probably going to depend a lot on your age, how much this matters to you. The next one is Grand Floridian has an expiration date of 2064. Riviera has an expiration date of 2070. And Villas at Disneyland Hotel has an expiration date of 2074. So that one you would be getting the full 50 years, and they all normally start with 50 years. So that's kind of the starting point for these. So when you calculate the cost of these and the per point cost, you actually need to take into consideration the remaining contract life. Again, depending on your age, this might be a complete non-factor for you, but if you're younger or it's really important to you that you have, that people can inherit these from you, this may be a big factor for you. Okay, so hopefully those facts have started to point you in the direction or make you lean into one direction or another in terms of selecting your resort for your direct purchase. There are a few other options that I want to make you aware of that might really make the decision easier for you. The first one is to consider breaking up your purchase between multiple resorts. So let's say that you really want to stay at Disneyland, but you really want to stay at Disney World as well. You might consider purchasing one contract at one resort and another contract at the other. And that could be a great option. We are big fans of owning at different home resorts. We have 3 different home resorts and have our points spread out. We love doing that because it gives us more flexibility, and rather than having just one huge number of points in one resort. So that is something to consider. And if you purchase direct, they can line up your use years so that they are all in one membership and those different contracts show up right there together. And at the 7-month window, you can combine those points for bookings at the same resort. And at the 11-month window, you'd have to book at the home resort only. Another thing to keep in mind is that these are not your only direct options. Points are often available at other non-featured resorts. They are just kind of considered sold out resorts. They do buy them back sometimes, and so they actually have an inventory of their own points, and they will sell those to you. They are going to be a little bit more expensive than if you purchase them, sometimes a lot more expensive than if you purchase them on the resale market. However, that is an option for you, and those do not have any of those restrictions about where you can use those points. So that gets you the full member benefits. So if you really want to own points at Boardwalk, call them up. They'll sell you points at Boardwalk. What if you're not ready to make the financial commitment of buying a DVC contract? It is, after all, a timeshare, and some people get a little bit antsy about it. I know we did when we bought our first contract, but once we had one, we wanted more. That's pretty common. But that first one, it can be a little bit scary. So if you're not so comfortable with the idea of committing to that DVC contract, Why not try renting points instead? You can still save money on DVC stays versus booking cash stays through Disney, and you don't have the commitment of buying a timeshare. If you want to learn more about that, use our link in the description to visit our friends over at DVC Rental Store. We have an affiliate link there, and it helps our channel out if you go and visit them from our link. So please go check that out. That's a great way to figure out if DVC is a great fit for you. And if it is a great fit, you can either explore a resale purchase or go direct to Disney. The next thing to keep in mind is that maybe resale is a better option for you. Resale contracts are DVC contracts that have been previously owned by other owners. They have decided that they're ready to move on and sell their contracts, and they can be purchased at a substantial savings. You do need to understand what you're purchasing when you buy resale contracts, but we do own both direct and resale. So we are fans of resale contracts. It's a great option. And if you're interested in learning more about DVC resale, be sure to visit our friends over at DVC Resale Market. They have the largest selection of resale listings around, and they can help you find the DVC resale contract that you are looking for. If getting those direct member benefits aren't a priority to you, or if you already qualify for those direct benefits by owning other DVC contracts, then this might be a great option for you. You can find the link for DVC Resale Market in our description below. Using our affiliate link does help our channel, and it may save you a lot of money over a direct purchase, so be sure to check out all of your options before making a decision on your DVC purchase. So which option is going to be best for you? It's really going to depend a lot on location, your travel habits, where you want to stay, what you need, and whether owning that direct contract with all the membership benefits is really a priority to you. Let us know in the comments where you are in this journey. Have you purchased DVC direct or resale before? Are you in the research stage and trying to figure out if this is the right fit for you? If you're enjoying our videos and you find it helpful, you can find us on themagicinthemusic.com, and we're also on Patreon. If you want to learn more about purchasing DVC, make sure you check out this playlist right over here. We also think you're going to love this video right over here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Bye.